Welcome to another Holistic Living broadcast. Tonight we are going to get into some real down-home soul food cooking. We are going to be featuring vegan mac and cheese, collard greens and cornbread, a vegan ham, and even a special vegan dessert. Now I'm going to break this video into parts, so we're going to start with the vegan mac and cheese first. Let's get rolling. Now I know I may be old-timey and out of my generation, but I have some B.B. King and Bobby Blue Bland playing just to get that mood music going for soul food cooking. So let me introduce you to a gluten-free and vegan pasta. This is by Ludenberg, and you can find this at Whole Foods. Now one thing about certain macaroni and cheeses, they have eggs in them usually, so you have to be careful. And sometimes they have other additives. This is just straight up brown rice pasta, and it tastes the same. But there's one thing about the gluten-free pastas. You have to pay attention to what you're getting, because sometimes if you overcook it like you're cooking wheat pasta, it's going to be mushy, so you have to pay close attention. Now first, I have 8 quarts of boiling water to accommodate 2 boxes, which will give me about 12 servings, 6 boxes apiece, so adjust it accordingly. I add a little salt and about a scoop of Earth Balanced vegan butter, of course, with this spoon right here. Now I'm going to get this rolling, and I will introduce you to the other ingredients. Go ahead and put this in. This is only going to cook for about 5 to 8 minutes. 7 minutes should be the best approximation for this type of brand right here. So I'm going to get it cooking. You want it to be al dente, which is kind of firm but not mushy. So I'm going to stir it around a little bit, put the top on it, and leave it alone. And 7 minutes later, we will do the seasoning for it. While this is boiling, let me introduce you to the other ingredients. I will put the measurements on the screen. I have onion powder, spice seasoning, black pepper, a dash of garlic, and when I say a dash, I mean just a dash, and that's optional. For the cheese, you will need nutritional yeast, your favorite vegan cheese, you know which one mine is, Daiya, the cheddar brand, almond milk. Now be careful with your almond milks and your soy milks and non-dairy milk. Sometimes they come in flavors like vanilla and things like that. When you're making something like a mac and cheese, you want it original, because if you have vanilla, then your stuff is going to come out sweet. So make sure that the box says original. You want it just plain. And I have soy-free Earth Balanced vegan butter. If you notice, I'm trying to get a little better about using gluten and soy. As much as I like those things, I'm trying to cut down on using as many of them. And I do have some ingredients tonight that will contain soy, but we're just going to keep rolling with it. I mean, you have to start somewhere. Now let's get to the cheese. For the cheese, you're going to need your nutritional yeast, your garlic, your spice seasoning, your Daiya or your favorite vegan cheese, and your margarine. Now before I get my fire going for my cheese, I'm going to add a half a cup of nutritional yeast to my pot, a half a cup of your favorite flour. It can be wheat, it can be amaranth, whatever kind of flour you want. It's used kind of as a thickener, even though the nutritional yeast will have its own thickening quality also. A half a teaspoon of veggie sal, or sea salt, or Bragg's. A dash of garlic. 1 cup of water, preferably purified water. 1 cup of original flavored almond milk. A 1/4 cup of margarine. Now I'm going to take this and stir it around. Just stir it around until everything is well blended. And you're just going to cook it until it actually looks like melted cheese, which will be in about the next 5 minutes. And the longer it sits, the thicker it gets. Be sure to keep your eye on the noodles in the meantime. Okay, now my melted cheese sauce is starting to thicken. So I'm going to keep stirring it so it doesn't burn, because just like regular cheese, it can burn at the bottom. So keep stirring it. Now I'm going to add about a pack and a half of Daiya cheese to this mixture to make it even more cheesy. Now I save some of my Daiya cheese to spread on top to give it that melted cheese look, but you don't have to do that. You can just put the cheese in the macaroni directly and just mix it in and keep going. Now as you notice, I need to add some water to this because it's going to get too thick in a minute. And you want it to be able to spread evenly in the macaroni. Now add about a cup of water to thin out the cheese a little bit so it can go evenly into the macaroni, because you don't want to have more macaroni than you do cheese sauce. For best results, it tastes better if it's really cheesy, creamy, and rich. Now it's time for me to drain the macaroni. So I'm going to take this to the sink and I'll be right back as the cheese cooks. Now I'm sure many of you cook macaroni all the time, but I'm not sure if you're familiar with cooking gluten-free macaroni. So that's why I'm going through these basic steps, because it is very different than cooking your regular durum wheat or semolina wheat macaroni. The gluten in noodles can give macaroni a totally different texture, so you have to handle this with kid gloves. Because with gluten-free products, you have to be very precise with them or you can mess it up. It's easy to mess up gluten-free products. Trust me, that's why I kind of shy away from them. I used to be on a gluten-free kick, but then I was like, oh God, I got tired of buying those expensive boxes of gluten-free stuff and messing up. So when I work with it, I have to pay extra attention. I think this cheese sauce is good to go. Cut my fire off. This is good enough. Now I'm going to add my dash of onion powder to my mac and cheese. I love onion powder in my mac and cheese. My granny taught me early to add those extra vegetables, those extra seasoning vegetables, to give it that flair. Nothing like that box stuff or that stuff you get that you can just instantly create. Nothing like a great batch of mac and cheese from scratch. And I'm not missing anything by not having the dairy version. Now I want you to check out the consistency before I convert this to the pan. This is heavy. I'm going to get a paper towel and just spread out a little margarine in my pan just to kind of grease it. Now I'm going to put this in here. Now I'm going to take this heavy baby and add it to the oven for about 20 minutes.